So today I want to make another one of my assemblage pieces, and again I found one of those empty toy trays. Now this one has a glossy finish which will make it a little harder to paint over than those plain wooden ones I used to find before. And here on the left side I have all kinds of bits and bobs I want to use today, including some wood pieces as a small wrench. There's a piece from a license plate, and then I have these very interesting looking pieces. These actually came from a curtain installation. Like always, I start by gluing everything down. I use E6000 because it glues wood, it glues metal and glass and plastic, and it also does not dry instantly, so I have a little time to move things about. Now in these type of projects, gluing everything down takes a while. It's also rather repetitious, so editing this is always a bit of a challenge for me, as I don't want to make it too long or too detailed, because the bottom line is, if you make a project like this, you will be working with very different materials, whatever you might have handy. So I will mention just the more important pieces, like this lid of a tiny oval box, as it will be part of my focal point. Now here on the top I added round elements in different sizes, as well as some drywall tape to create extra texture on the back and the sides of this tray. Now I am working with several compartments here, and that of course gives the option of making each a bit unique. So here on the very top I want to use the handful of curtain doodads I have. I will arrange them in a pleasing formation, and hopefully that will be a good eye catcher. Now, whenever I work on an assemblage like this, I take my time to place everything. I add all kinds of smaller items in the little empty spaces until everything is filled to my satisfaction, and that can take time. Now, sometimes I use a hammer, as you can see here with the little guitar pin. Sometimes I move things around which have already been glued before. And sometimes when I have something which does not have a very good surface to catch the glue, I use my texture paste like you see me do here with a piece of chain. Now, towards the end of my gluing, I often use beads in different sizes to fill in the small uncovered spaces, but today I opted to use eyelets. They glue down easily if you turn them upside down, and they make for a bit of a different look. As the last step, I added some texture paste just to the bottom half of the tray, and not very much, just a little bit to give extra texture and to bind some of these small pieces together. Now, before adding this, I should have given you a close-up of all the little elements in the tray, and I apologize, I absolutely forgot. But I think you get the idea. And the black clips at the edge are only there to hold the wrench in place until everything is dry. And then it is time to add the gesso. It took several coats to cover everything, mainly because the tray is very slick. The elements have a lot of little corners I have to get into, and some are very brightly colored. So it took a little while, but here it is all done. And it is nearly time for some paint. But first, here is another kid's toy I took apart so I can use these two pieces in this tray. And I'm adding some black gesso just to give them a little more texture and make them look less like plastic. And now on to the painting part, which is very simple to follow. Very self-explanatory, so I will stop chatting. I'll let you listen to some music, but I will be back in just a wee bit. Enjoy. So finally on to more detailing. I found this old Halloween skeleton and I picked two of the smaller bones, and then I took one of those bones and cut it apart in a way that it looks like it was broken. I also made it a little shorter. I will also use the two hands which came from the same skeleton. Now these things are made from rusted looking metal and they all have holes, so it is easy to attach them to these black things just using very soft copper wire, which twists easily just using my fingers. Now, the vintage image of the scientist was a great find, and I replaced whatever he had in his hand originally with a piece of turquoise, and I also added a piece to the ring finger of one of the skeleton hands. Alright, and now on to the other part of my focal point, and this piece was given to me by a dear friend, and we both think it may have been a pendulum for one of those old fashion clocks. It is made out of metal, it is rather heavy, it moves up and down, and it has great texture and a lovely design. Now, in order to install it, I'm using a small yarn spool which I colored black on the very top, and then the bottom part is secured within one of the holes from the tiny wrench. And then I went on to add a little bit of alcohol ink to take off the shine from the rod, added a few more of those tiny turquoise stones just here and there, and my piece is completed. Now, putting this piece together was challenging because of the different compartments. I created different looks, and I hope they all came together to make a cohesive whole. My main objective was to use the pendulum and to have it move and reveal something, and I think I accomplished that. The scientist definitely makes sense of the skeleton pieces on top and all the other odd elements. So here's one more close-up look all around my project. You can see the tiny turquoise stones, the few black elements I added, and I think using the black sparingly gave a nice effect. I did use it on the edges here, except on the two pieces of drywall, which I think makes for an interesting look. I also went ahead and cleaned up the back just by adding a piece of craft paper. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed watching me put this together and you didn't mind my gray head bobbing up here and there. I'm always battling with the angle of my camera. Now I am adding photos later on, and there you will get a close-up of some of the elements I used. One more look at my Mad Scientist, and that's it for today. Thank you for coming and watching. See you soon again. Bye bye for now.